The slow and methodical breakdown of Yuji Itadori's psyche, like a stone being chiseled from multiple directions until chunks fall off. This is how Geige Akutami operates the story of Jujutsu Kaisen. Throughout over 200 chapters of content, Yuji Itadori has been slowly whittled away, piece by piece. From the death he encountered early in his journey, to the terror of Shibuya, to the crushing development of Chapter 212, Yuji has been broken down relentlessly. It all began in Chapter 1, the first time Itadori experienced death through the death of his grandfather Wasuke. Being a teenager, he did not know how to process it. I lost my own grandfather at a similar age, and Itadori's reaction is extremely realistic. Momentary sadness, but he is not allowed the luxury of grieving. That very night, Itadori would consume the first finger of Ryomen's Sukuna, and begin his horrific mental decline. Yuji Itadori begins his journey with an idealistic mindset, to save others and to die surrounded by those he cares about, and who care about him. He is housing Sukuna, something only he can do, and in doing so, Itadori is saving lives. This mindset is far too optimistic. The very foundation of Yuji's mentality is extremely fragile and begins to crack nearly immediately. The first sign of wear appears after the fearsome womb arc. Sukuna appears and nearly kills Fushiguro, only for Itadori to re-emerge and to die. Itadori is ready to die here, not surrounded by those he cares about, but still able to save one person. Fushiguro. This is the first crack. No Jujutsu sorcerer dies without regret, and so Itadori makes a deal with the devil to live on and to accomplish his goals. A deal he would soon sorely regret. The death of Junpei Yoshino. This is the first time Yuji's mentality is truly brought to the test. Junpei was brutally killed by Mahito in front of Itadori. He was alone. While Itadori somewhat chose his death in front of Megumi, and was given the option to live on, Junpei did not have such a choice. And so Itadori vows to kill Mahito. That idealistic concept that he would not have to kill anybody has been ripped away, and Itadori witnesses the utter cruelty of Mahito and Sukuna, laughing at the death of this boy. There are those out there that cannot be reasoned with, and must be killed. Mahito and Sukuna constantly whittle away at Yuji's mind, and this is the first time a chunk breaks off. The fight with Eso and Kechizu is the first time Yuji kills somebody that may not have deserved it, but he is able to rationalize it. After all, Itadori protected Fushiguro and Kugisaki, albeit by taking 2 lives in their place. He still wants to die surrounded by others, to protect those he cares about. So far, he succeeded to protect all but one. He must come to terms with the fact that he is an accomplice. He has regrets, but he can continue on his virtuous path, even if there are some bloodstains left behind. Cracks continue to form in the foundation of Itadori's mentality. Yuji vs. Choso puts Itadori to the test. It is a fight he unequivocally loses against an opponent he was neither physically nor mentally fortified enough to defeat. Throughout their fight, Choso makes it clear that he is fighting to avenge his brothers, to avenge those he loved. Itadori is trying to save Gojo, somebody he deeply cares about, but he still has a hard time putting his motivation over Choso's. Itadori realizes his own weakness here as he falls to the death-painting brother. He is unable to protect those he cares about, and not only that, leaves himself open to be taken advantage of by Jogo. His mental state is at a low point. Sukuna's emergence in Shibuya is disastrous for Itadori. It is the first time Itadori is certain that more people died because he is alive than if he was dead. No longer can he rationalize the death around him. It brings him to tears and hysterics as he vomits onto the ground. His foundation can scarcely maintain shape as he keeps moving forward to find Nanami and Mahito. Itadori was able to protect Nanami from Mahito once before. Although he could not protect Junpei, he could protect somebody else he cared about. This allowed Itadori to continue on, but he cannot protect Nanami again. The slaughter of Nanami pushes Itadori into a rage, just like that time with Junpei. He ignores the cracks permeating through the very foundation of his motivation and fights Mahito. But his rage and adrenaline cannot carry him, as Mahito leaves a scar upon Yuji's face that will never be repaired. Itadori's physical injuries are often coupled with mental strife. It is no coincidence that Choso left a similar scar on his face at a time when Yuji was deeply questioning his own strength. Kugisaki's appearance in the fight offers some momentary hope for Itadori, who had begun to feel an insurmountable loneliness. But Mahito understands the power of giving hope, only to rip it away in the moments that follow. He saw this from Mekamaru, and he sees it now from Itadori, as he inflicts a grievous injury upon Nobara in front of him. Sukuna did irreparable damage to the foundation of Yuji's psyche, leaving it cracked and close to breaking. In killing Kugisaki, Mahito takes a sledgehammer and demolishes Yuji Itadori's soul, leaving it nearly broken. In a stroke of luck, though I would not call it good fortune, Aoi Todo arrives shortly thereafter, the one man who could bring Itadori back from the brink of despair. He reinforces Itadori, but it is not that simple. Itadori has lost people who were seriously close to him, and many more died due to Sukuna's rampage. So many died because he lived. Todo gives Itadori just enough hope and support to stay standing, but his mentality cannot be built up to that idealistic kid he was when he first met Satoru Gojo. Instead, Itadori chooses a new path. He forgoes his own individuality, becoming nothing more than a cog in a machine. He still wishes to protect those who remain, and he will continue to do so by killing curses, over and over again. Itadori manages to defeat Mahito, overcoming this foe who broke his very soul. However, greater enemies lie waiting over the horizon, and Kenjaku reminds Itadori of his own weakness, toppling him to the ground effortlessly and absorbing Mahito. The Culling Games begin, and become the machine to which Itadori must be a cog within. His goals shift: rescue Satoru Gojo, and help Fushiguro to protect Sumiki. Those are the tasks at hand. He no longer cares about his own life, but he must start by saving them. As long as he can save those who have saved him, Itadori can die in peace. In the games, Itadori carries an immense burden. All of those lives lost in Shibuya he carries upon his back. They are his cross to bear. And with their weight on his shoulders, Itadori has become a demon god. He accomplishes his goals, finding Angel and collecting enough points to save Sumiki. Just as the end is in sight, though, it is all ripped away. Sumiki is not who she seems, an incarnated sorcerer. Fushiguro is devastated. Itadori has failed. And there is still one thing that has been chiseling away at Itadori from the very start of the series: the king of curses himself, Ryomen Sukuna. Sukuna has held Itadori's heart in his hand and left it enchained. 200 chapters prior, a naive Itadori, still with his idealistic goals in mind, made a deal with Sukuna. Now Sukuna cashes out on that deal. Enchain. Itadori can do nothing but watch as Sukuna exploits his own foolishness in making this deal. He watches as Sukuna takes over Fushiguro, and the King of Curses is let loose over Tokyo. Angel fights against the Fallen, but it is not enough. He is free to wreak havoc. Once, Sukuna ripped a hole in Itadori's chest and grabbed hold of his heart. The torment Sukuna has put Itadori through is proof enough that he has never let go. Mahito, after murdering Nanami and Kugisaki in front of Yuji, hits a black flash on Itadori's chest, at his heart. And once more, Itadori has a hole punched through his chest, as he is sent flying through buildings across the city. In his darkest days, Itadori's heart has always suffered the most grievous damage. Sukuna revels in Itadori's mental decline. In one fell swoop, he has taken away Itadori's very reason for becoming a sorcerer in the first place. His goals of protecting Sumiki, protecting Fushiguro, and saving Gojo all went from being in sight to seemingly unattainable in an instant. Itadori's very foundation was destroyed against Mahito already. Now, Sukuna has shattered his soul yet again. The villains of this series have always toyed with Itadori. His very creation was at the hands of Kenjaku, and his friends and sense of self were slowly whittled away by the deeds of Mahito and Sukuna, leaving Itadori a mere shell of his former self. I doubt whether he can ever truly recover. And who can blame him? He has been methodically broken, reforged, and broken yet again. Itadori has reached the lowest point in hell, and still managed to sink lower. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you for getting to the end of the video. If you want more story or character analyses on Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, or whatever other series I'm interested in, you might want to consider subscribing. I hope you enjoyed the video at least a little more than Itadori is enjoying life right now.